Ever feel like you're screaming your brilliant ideas into the internet void, only to be answered by the sound of crickets and your mom's pity-like? You've got the skills, the talent, the expertise, but your online presence has the same impact as a single, sad tumbleweed rolling through a ghost town. Meanwhile, you see some influencer who looks like they just learned how to tie their own shoes, selling a course on synergistic paradigm shifts for $5,000 a pop, and you think, what in the fresh hell is going on? Well, my friend, you're not alone, and the answer to your problem isn't to work harder, it's to stop being the world's best-kept secret. Today, we're diving into Wealthy and Well-Known by Rory Vaden, a book that's basically a battle plan for getting the recognition you actually deserve. So, let's talk about Olympic swimmers. You know Michael Phelps, right? The guy with more gold than a pirate's treasure chest. A dude so famous he could probably pay for groceries with a knowing wink. Now, what about Katie Ledecky? She's also a superhuman fish person who has a Scrooge McDuck-level vault of gold medals. Yet, for many, her name doesn't ring the same bell. Why? Is Phelps a better swimmer? Number. The difference isn't talent, it's reach. The book drops a formula so simple, it's almost offensive. Results times reach equals reputation. You can have the best results in the world, but if you multiply that by a reach of 0, well, you don't need a math PhD to know you end up with nothing. Your reputation becomes a rounding error. Most of us spend decades sharpening our skills, getting the results part down pat. We're masters of our craft, but we spend 0 time on the reach part because it feels icky, like self-promotion is a sin. Meanwhile, some dude with half your talent but 10 times your marketing swagger is landing the clients you want. It's infuriating, right? It's like watching someone win a chili cook-off with a can of microwaved Hormel. But here's the thing. People are already forming an opinion about you anyway. Every email you send, every meeting you're in, every post you don't make. It all builds a picture. The question is, are you going to be the artist? Or are you going to let chance scribble all over your masterpiece? Building your reputation isn't about ego, it's career insurance in a world where your job could be replaced by an overachieving toaster tomorrow. Okay, so you're ready to build your reputation. Your first instinct is probably to be everywhere, doing everything. A podcast about crypto, a TikTok about sourdough starters, a LinkedIn post about Stoic philosophy, and a consulting gig in 17th century basket weaving. Stop it. Just stop. Trying to appeal to everyone makes you appealing to no one. Your personal brand becomes a chaotic mess, like a Tinder profile that says, I love hiking, Netflix, breathing, and quantum physics. It's diluted and confusing. The book points to guys like Gary Vaynerchuk. Everyone sees him now, talking about everything from NFTs to garage sales. But he didn't start there. He started by talking about one thing, and one thing only. Wine. For years. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was a pro wrestler for a decade before he became, well, the entire economy. Breaking through is like trying to knock down a wall with a sledgehammer. If you just swing wildly, you'll end up tired and with a bunch of tiny dents. But if you hit the exact same spot over and over and over again, eventually that wall is coming down. So what's your spot? The book has a beautifully simple answer. You are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. Think about the problems you've solved, the challenges you conquered, the embarrassing mistakes you survived. That's not baggage. That's your unique superpower. Your mess is your message. That's what you need to focus on relentlessly. And speaking of focusing relentlessly, if you want more content that helps you break through the wall of internet noise instead of just making random dents, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. Think of it as the first, consistent swing of your own reputation sledgehammer. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm you're not just here for the cat videos. Well, not just for the cat videos. Once you know who you are, you need to figure out what you do. Specifically, you need to find the one-word problem you solve. Think of Dave Ramsey. For 30 years, he has owned one word, debt. He says basically the same thing every single day. and millions listen. Why? Because when you have that problem, he's the only name that comes to mind. Brené Brown did the same thing with the word shame. She went from an unknown professor to a global icon by dedicating herself to one specific, uncomfortable problem. Here's where we all screw up. We love talking about our solutions, our fancy methods, our complicated frameworks. But guess what? People don't buy solutions. They buy the disappearance of problems. Your brain is wired to filter out anything that isn't relevant to its survival or current problems. If someone doesn't think they have the problem you solve, your amazing solution is just background noise. They will literally, subconsciously, ignore you. So the framework is this: market the problem, teach the cause, sell the solution. You scream the problem from the rooftops because that's what gets attention. Hate your debt? Then, in your content, you teach them the real cause of their problem, the stuff they don't see. And finally, you sell them your product or service as the ultimate solution. To make this even more powerful, stop thinking about your audience. Instead, create a detailed avatar of one single person, not millennials aged 25 to 35. Give them a name. What's their job? What keeps them up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling and contemplating the crushing absurdity of it all? Write every piece of content, every sales page, every video script for that one person. When you speak to one, you connect with many. All right, let's talk about the awkward part: money. If reputation is about reach, then you just need millions of Instagram followers to be rich, right? Wrong. So wrong. The link between follower count and income is weaker than a coffee shop Wi-Fi signal. Some of the richest people on the planet, like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, barely use social media. Their idea of a viral tweet is probably an accidental pocket dial. This proves that audience size doesn't determine income. You can make a fortune from a small, dedicated tribe who trusts you. The key is your business model. The book gives you an acronym: PAIDS. You can sell physical products, use ads, offer information like courses, make deals, or provide services. The trick is to pick one and master it first. Bezos did Amazon. Gates did Microsoft. They diversified after they got rich, not as a strategy to get rich. And here's the real secret sauce: what the book calls fractal math. About 10% of your customers are willing to pay 10 times more for a premium, more personal version of what you offer. Instead of constantly chasing new, low-paying customers, you should be focused on deepening the relationship with the ones you already have. People today are drowning in information. They don't need another YouTube video. They'll pay for guidance, for access, for a clear path through the chaos. The more customized and intimate you get, the more you can charge. Serve fewer people, but serve them better. It's less work, more profit, and way more fulfilling. Imagine you fly to Tokyo, and the person picking you up knows your kids' names, your favorite sports team, and your entire philosophy on money. Creepy, right? Maybe a little. But that's what happened to the author, Rory Vaden. The host had never met him, but he'd consumed his content for years. He felt like he knew him. He trusted him. That's the goal. To build a relationship at scale, so people trust you before you even meet them. Trust is built on 3 pillars: visibility, familiarity, and value. Visibility is just being seen, over and over. It's the reason celebrity endorsements work, even though we know that actor probably doesn't actually use that brand of hemorrhoid cream. Familiarity is deeper. It's sharing what you believe. People want to do business with people they feel a connection with. A study showed 2/3 of Americans will pay more for something if the founder shares their personal values. And finally, value. This is the big one. When you teach someone something useful, it triggers a psychological response. They feel gratitude, and that gratitude quickly turns into trust. A dead simple way to do all 3 is to just start answering your customers' questions on video. That's it. Pose a question, explain why it's important, give your answer, and tell them what to do next. Don't freak out if your first video gets 40 views. Would you be disappointed if you got to help 40 real people in a room? That's 40 lives you could change. So to wrap it all up, the secret to becoming wealthy and well-known isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most focused, the most trusted, and the most dedicated to solving one specific problem. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. It follows you everywhere. To build it, you need to stop swinging your sledgehammer wildly and start hitting the same spot. Find your one thing, rooted in who you used to be. Own one problem. Market that problem, teach its cause, and sell your solution. Forget chasing millions of followers. Instead, build a deep, trusting relationship with a smaller group of people who truly need what you have to offer. You are the perfect person to help your ideal customer. They just don't know you exist yet. Your job is to change that. Now go make some noise.